Hey all, today is a new project day, so great news. The sun's out, life's good, and yeah, I've got a little garden shed I've been asked to design and build. So let's have a look at what we're dealing with, and we'll start with the foundations. This is probably going to be part one. There'll be a few parts to this video series, I would say, because otherwise it'll just drag on forever. And I'm one for detail, so I like to try and be informative, educational, maybe not so much funny, because that's just not me. Anyhow, yeah, let's have a look at what we're doing. So the posts are all in. We've had a massive tree taken out of the corner there, which, like that one, has posed massive problems with root system underneath the ground, even though a stump grinder and a root guy has come in to remove the roots, but they go a bit further or a bit deeper than what we thought. Anyway, we've got to this point. They've all been concreted in. I've backfilled over with all the soil and what's left of the tan bark. And as you can see down the line, we've got a straight run here, here, and here. So the shed will be 3.6 meters in that direction and about 2.5 in that direction. But now I have to cut, I've already started to cut the posts all at level. How do we do that without a string line or a laser level? This is what I did. I got my straight edge, aluminium straight edge, and put it on the ground. Just set it on the ground level and butted it up against those four posts, pushed it up against, and then put the spirit level on there and got it level. Then I just marked the line, you can see the lines, to get a level. So from that we know that they're all level, but we can't just do the same thing with these two rows of stumps as well. So without a string line, what I did was just transferred that line to this side, put a little nail in there, sat that level on the line, which is the nail, spanned it across level. So this one, marked a line and then repeat, and then the same thing, repeat, and there and there. Then we can check whatever way we want to check to make sure that the lines, if it's on diagonal or whatever way it is, to make sure that the lines are all at the same level or are level according to the spirit level. So now I'm just cutting off the tops of the posts, and as I'm going, I'm checking, making sure it's all good. I've cut 4 so far. So far, it is good. Have it, all the posts cut off, and as if by magic we are level. So now it's time to put on some bearers. So we're going to use, I've got a bit of timber over here, 90 45 90 by 45 treated pine, H3 treated, which is external resistant to rot and termites. So we're going to run bearer, and bearer, so they're going to be doubled up. You'll see what I mean. So there's 3 of those spanned center and back, front, center and back, and then from there on top of that we run joists, which will be the same material, but we needed to allow a little bit of room underneath for airflow and ventilation. So when it's all said and done, it will make more sense. Okay, next step, bearers are in place. I've got 90 45 treated pine H3, pressure treated for rot and termite resistance. And I'm going to span those, 3 of them, well, 6 of them when they're laminated together. So laminating them together, just nails with the fixing gun or the framing gun, and then they go on edge. So that's not on edge, that's just like flat, but that is on edge when they stand up on edge. And obviously it's higher strength when it's like that, because the depth of the timber is greater than when they're like that. So that's why it's on edge, and I'm just going to laminate these last 2 together, put those on edge, and then I'm almost ready for joists. So they're all set up on edge. Couple of things. I've ran these long, so these posts between that one and the last one, it's 3.6 meters, but I've ran them long. You can obviously see 4.2 on the end, and that's because I just want to play around with the sizing, because you can overhang past the end of the bearer, but also I just want to play around with the sizing. So the other thing was, always check your pine or your timber that the crown, so the bow in the board, is up, not down, because otherwise it'll look like it's sag and it's probably not going to be as strong. So if it's up, it gives it time to settle in time, and it'll flatten out as the timber settles in over time. So just wanted to raise those 2 items quickly. Otherwise, now it's time to fix these in. So I'm gonna cut these off later, like the length. I'm gonna cut them off wherever I need them to be later. But now it's time we can start cutting some joists and putting the joists in the opposite direction. So let's crack on. Okay, so top tip of the daytime, with the joists, got 6 meter lengths. I'm just going to cut them in half and run them long, like I've done with the bearers. But when it comes out of the factory, the ends aren't often square, so I just square that, take a little bit off the end just to square them up with the rest of the board. Pull the tape out to halfway, 3 meters is there, and then make the cut. So you don't need really the square line to square a line off. Like you could, you know, use that, mark the line, and then when you use the saw, you just follow the line through on the saw. But instead of that, you can just have your line there, line your base plate of the saw parallel to the end of the timber, and then just cut through. Also with that, when you cut through, if you put one board on top of the other, you cut through at the saw's full depth. It scores a line in the board underneath. That way you know where the next cut needs to be and you don't need to remark it. So, easy. Okay, so job done. You get the idea. So now everything's just scattered loosely on top. Obviously it's all got to be evened up and then cut to length, both that way and that way with the bearers, and then obviously spaced out. But I've got to go through before that and just laminate like I did with the bearers. I've got to laminate every single one of these together. Now I understand, probably could have done that with the 6 meter lengths before I cut them, but you know, lo and behold, you probably mark the line and the saw cut would need to be right on the line. Anyhow, it didn't need to be perfect, because even though I cut them at 3 meters, it didn't need to be exactly, because yeah, I'm going to trim them again anyway. So yeah, It's more or less just rough framing at the moment, but anyway, you get the idea of how it's all coming together. So yeah, I'll keep you updated. Hey gang, new day, but it's a very wet day, but there is a little weather window. So I've come out here to this little garden shed job and I'm just sort of getting the joists prepared for their final position. So let me talk you through what's been going on. So this is the progress. So what I've done today is I've gone through all these joists. Yesterday I just scattered them all, but today I've gone through and laminated them all together so they're all nailed as doubles. And then I've put a length of pine on the back, so I've got all the lengths of joist are in a straight line. And then I've pulled the tape 2.5 meters from the back to that piece there, along every one, lined it up and nailed those off. So we've got pretty much a perfect rectangle, which then shows you the overhang. And then I've squared the whole thing up from this corner to this corner and diagonally that way as well. Got all that square, and then placed a brace across it so it's set and rigid. And then I can slide this around wherever I want to slide it to on the bearers, which obviously you can see are running long. And I've come up with this. This is pretty close to the final position from the fence. I've got 300 millimeters to the edge of that piece of pine, which will be coming off. It's just temporary. So add another 45 on that. So 320 plus 45, do the mathematics, 365. And then yeah, I pushed it sort of that way and I've pushed it that way, you know, a reasonable amount without being too close to the fence, although I'm probably closer than what I'd like. And this way, because this fence and this fence aren't at right angles, I've squared it off the back fence and not this one, hence that wedge in there. But anyhow, this is where we're at. You can see this joist is flush with the end of that bearer. Then we've got a piece of bearer to cut off there and there. And then on this side is 2.5 meters. So once I mark all those joists, take that pine off, I can just cut through all those to length. But before we do that, I'm going to get this in position and fix it all off. But before I do that, I need to take the joists up and then run bearer protections, like a rubber deck protect, over the joists for water and weather. And then I'll do the same on top of the joists, and then I can nail it all down. Hey all, so yesterday someone miscalculated how much joist and bearer protection was required for this job. So fast forward 24 hours and I am back, but I just thought, because I've got a new roll of it, I would show you what it is. So this is it here that we're using. This is to suit 90mm timber, and it's got small wings. You can see the little sort of kick on the sides there, which obviously sits down over the side of the timber to allow for water runoff. And yeah, this is what it's called, protector deck, bearer protection. joist protection. It's all the same thing. To suit timber up to 90 millimeters and self-forming wings to shed water and extend the life of your deck. All 12 meters worth in a roll. So I'm just going to put that down, and then on the last two joists and the front noggins, and then we will come back and have a chat about the construction. So this is it. That's how it goes down onto the deck. And as you can see, these little wings on the side, they actually deflect down. It's a bit hard to see there, but they actually deflect down slightly. So I'll just put this last one on. And that's it. So if you have a look down the line there, you can see this edge just slightly rolls over the side of the joist. And as I put it on, I just tack the end down with this hammer tacker. It's just a hammer but with staples in it effectively. And then I just boom boom and then stretch it out along. And just periodically tack it down with the hammer tacker, and that's it. So now all that's left is just one more row along there, and the foundations are complete. And that's it, my friends. All the protection's on. It's kind of like a, you know, rubbery sort of a, it is rubber, I think. Anyway, it's good stuff. So just quickly to run through this, stumps were dug around all the root system in the ground from the tree that used to be there. Got the bearer line straight, 3 bearer lines. On top of the bearers we use this tin ant caps, they call them. And that's just a barrier between the top of the stump and the underside of the bearer. And the bearers go on, screwed straight through between the two joists, pre-drilled and screwed straight through the joists into the stump, one on every stump, and then shot nails, skewed nails into the side of the stumps through every bearer, 2 on either side. So a few nails, and then on top of that we positioned the platform, the top platform, the joist platform, had it all square, and then we used triple grips. Triple grips, they're called that because you get a grip there, a grip there, and a grip there, so it's triple. So we put them all there and all there, and I'm just contemplating whether to do the center section. To be decided. Anyway, yeah, that's it. So, and then obviously the joist, or it's called protector deck, went on top of that, and to make it easy we just lapped it over, and then it's ready to put some sheeting on there. So yeah, anyway, that's the foundations. So quick little rundown before I do go of what's to come with this, because yeah, I'd like for you to watch again, that'd be great. So from the front of this, it's going to be like a, from 900 mil in from there is going to be like a porch with decking all the way across, and then maybe, I don't know, halfway-ish, there'll be like an entry there to a garden store area, and then on this side there's going to be an open wood store area. So effectively the roof is going to be off center, if you can imagine, off center, and come down steeper and shorter that side and longer that side to give me a bit more room for the wood store on this side. So yeah, that's sort of the rough plan. All going to be clad in fibre cement sheeting and tin roof, Colorbond tin roof, to sort of match the house, I think. So we get that sort of colour, woodland grey I think it's called. So yes, and then on the front there'll be a step because it's above the minimum step height, so legally it needs to have a step, and then on the other side it'll have a ramp to push things like this little barrow up into the wood store area. And that's it. I hope that all makes sense.